How you guys doing? This is Covina Man. Hope you guys can hear me. I was going to try to talk about something with the Second Amendment's a consistent argument here that something for people to have food for thought. And that is on the Second Amendment when different states have different rights when it comes to the Second Amendment. And I compare that to when people in different states try to pass laws regarding, gay marriage or something else. The Supreme Court is quick to come up and say, no, we're going to have one standard, one right, freedom of marriage or whatever. But it seems like it doesn't apply that way for the Second Amendment. And even within the same state, I live in California, if you in one county, you have no Second Amendment rights or less Second Amendment rights. If you go to another county, you have more Second Amendment rights. And it seemed like we put up with that for whatever reason. The Supreme Court is 5-4 so-called conservative Supreme Court, and it's been 5-4 or more conservative Supreme Court for a couple hundred years. And they seem to have don't have a problem with people having states' rights when it comes to Second Amendment rights. So would you compare, or could you compare different states having different First Amendment rights? So if one state you can have freedom of religion, but in another state you can't have a freedom of religion, or 7 states could have freedom of press, but another 7 states can't have freedom of press. But the Supreme Court is very inconsistent on that issue because, they overturn gay marriage. People have laws against, abortion rights, but the Supreme Court wants to make sure that everyone has the same rights across the way. Search and seizures, can you have different search and seizure rights in one state and part of the state? I just find it very inconsistent. And if you look back at gun control and how that started with Ronald Reagan and the Munford Act here in California, the act is so-called the Black Panther Act. As soon as black folks began to exercise their Second Amendment rights, Ronald Reagan and his supporters, they didn't like that. So they wanted to have restrictions on rights. I'm going to put a few links in the description box. NPR did a report on the African American support for legal carry for self-defense. The majority of African Americans support the Second Amendment. I was going to put an article in here from The Root on gun control and the disarming the black community. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there for food for thought. Why is there in some states you can have certain rights, but in another state you can't? And the Supreme Court is usually quick to step in and say, no, states don't have the right to do X, Y, or Z, except for gun control.